My name is Dorcas Parselaw, and I am going to be your moderator for today. And as you can see, I'm on this screen, not alone. There's another person next to me. Anyways, we have two special guests this evening, and I would like to start by introducing the one that you are seeing right now, Elsie Eyakuze. Elsie lives in Dar es Salaam. She is an independent consultant and blogger for the Mikocheni Report. She also writes a column for the weekly regional newspaper, The East African. Elsie is an active feminist, a passive Marxist, and a believer that chocolate should be part of the right to food, in her own words. I would also like to add the following bullet points that I think describe Elsie, or give you a short description of her. She reads, she observes, she thinks, and she writes. So this is Elsie. The other speaker that I would like to introduce to you, unfortunately, you cannot see her now, but you will hear her later. That is Honorable Condester Sichalwe. Condester Sichalwe is a member of parliament, an MP, representing the Momba constituency in Tanzania. She has a bachelor's degree in information technology and has worked as a technician. She's an IT consultant and a software programmer. But right now she sits at the Parliament of Tanzania. So these are going to be our speakers for this evening for this Net Talk. And yeah, let me continue. What are we going to talk about today? Elsie, sorry, it's not going to be about chocolate. We are going to be talking about dress codes and choices that women have, or rather not. My dress, my choice. This is what you read when you decided to join this Net Talk. And yeah, here we are. My dress, my choice is a protest hashtag that resulted from an incident in Nairobi, Kenya. And I'll give you the short story why it came up with this hashtag, my dress, my choice. In September 2014, a Kenyan middle-aged woman was waiting for a bus at a stop in Nairobi. When the bus came, a group of men surrounded her and started to strip and assault her for wearing a miniskirt in public. She screamed and cried out for help. You have to imagine it's a market scene in Nairobi, but only a few couple of brave people reached out and gave her clothes to cover herself. This kind of sexual violence against women is not new, but this time it was different. The brutality of the violence was caught on camera and went viral online. There was an outrage. The video was so graphic and everyone who watched it felt violated. When I say everyone, I mean male and female. Some men said, it could have been my wife, my daughter, my mother. An online campaign started simultaneously with a demonstration which gathered nearly 1,000 people in the center of Nairobi. Kenyan leaders responded and condemned the act, calling it barbaric and ordering a criminal investigation. That incident brought to life the hashtag, my dress, my choice. So people went to the street and also online on social media by saying, my dress, my choice. So it means more than just clothing. That movement gained so much momentum and led to large demonstrations that affected the law and raised general awareness on the issues of gender discrimination and violence. It signaled a strong push in society for gender equality as well. With the message, no to violence against women. This is what people were saying. And also the question, who is the one to set moral standards? This hashtag also made people in Tanzania aware of gender-based violence and unequal treatment that led to heated debates on social media and in news. Tanzanian women are also at risk of being harassed in public spaces because of their choice in clothing. So there are a number of consequences when you wake up in the morning and you decide what to put on. And now we're going to hear some stories from women, from young women in Tanzania. They're going to share with us what they experienced by the choices of the dresses they made.
I remember one incident when I was visiting my grandparents in the village. That day I had my favorite leggings on, they were purple, and I was playing with my cousins and, running around here and there. And at a certain point, a man came by and asked me what I was wearing. I said, "Oh, my leggings." I was a bit also surprised why he was asking. And he looked at me very angry and told me, "If I ever see you naked again, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to teach you a lesson." And I remember running towards my grandparents' house, terrified, being afraid. And I remember that I never put on again those favorite leggings of mine.
And there was this day in which I found out that I have gained weight, and I thought that I needed some body exercise. And so I decided to start jogging the next morning. I was wearing my shorts and a t-shirt, and then I came across the motorcycle parking place, and there were some guys there, and they started laughing and saying some abuseful stuffs about my shorts and the way with my body. And yeah, everyone that was passing by during that time was looking at me, and honestly I felt so uncomfortable, and also I felt so bad. But the most surprising thing to me was there was also another man who was also jogging, and he was also wearing short like mine and a t-shirt, and he was also having a big belly. In Tanzania we call it kitambi. And these motorcycle guys did not shout to him, and from that day onwards I did not continue jogging. I quit, and I was only doing some indoor exercises. Yeah. Okay, I will start with the side of why there's this so much of restriction of how to dress. So there is a rule that it's tried to protect men, and this is called attack of shame. That if you are not properly dressed, and this means you wore something that really expose your body, your inside bodies, and this is say your hips, your buttocks, or your breasts, and this, when the men see, they get triggered, and this is called attack of shame, because this all, maybe they get triggered, and then the outcome maybe it is raping or attacking in any way. Now I understand people want the freedom of dressing. The problem is that we are all aware all aware of how the society is still conservative with the ways of dressing, especially in the church. Women, we can't dress maybe trousers. It will not feel proper. And also maybe in marketplaces, when you wear something that exposes your hips so much and all that. But the thing about my side that I feel this thing is just being over exaggerated is when I was in school, high school, and there was a rule that we have to wear the skirts that are lower, reaching the ankles of our feet. Now, example for the ladies who had, I should say, large body, maybe we say fat, we should say, in a manner that I say fat mostly at the buttocks and hips. Having a very long skirt never helped us. Still, it showed how our figures looked like.
So, what happened exactly? It was like first in our hometown, they do not view nicely girls who wear trousers. So they think like girls who wear trousers, they are prostitutes and they are doing the things which they are not good, like bad habits and everything. Like, I don't know how can I explain it, but they just group them into a bad group of people. So they just need girls to wear dresses and skirts and not short dresses or short skirts without mattering how does the person react in front of the people. So they just judge someone out of clothes, like wearing short clothes or trousers. It's like a very mistake. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we heard some examples from, like I said in the beginning, Tanzanian ladies who shared their stories on the choices they made to wear on that particular day. But I have to disappoint you and tell you that it doesn't just end in Tanzania or in Kenya. In other parts of the world, this has also been an issue, and not even long ago. Even in European countries, there have been attempts by male counterparts to try to dictate women on what not to wear. Now, there was an event in Tanzania that also did not go unnoticed in the media. You could read the headings in several news outlets, including the BBC. Female government official in Tanzania was asked to leave a parliament session, a parliament meeting because of her outfit. It happened in the middle of a parliamentary session where a male colleague made complaints that she was not dressed properly. Of course, he said more. In a video that was shared on social media showing the parliament session, and it also showed how she was asked to leave, to go dress up well, and then join back later. This was none other than our second guest speaker who we requested to join us today, and that is Madame Sichalwe herself.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, now, Madame, I just referred to that incident that happened at the parliament session, and we only saw a short clip on the media. But now that you are here, perhaps you can share and tell us your side of the story, clarify the situation for us, what actually happened, and how did you feel, how did you deal with that situation on that day?
Thank you. My name is Condester Michael Sichalwe. I'm a member of the parliament from the Republic of Tanzania, representing the people from Momba constituency. Momba constituency is found from Songwe region. Songwe region is on the southern part of Tanzania. We are bordering Zambia. Sorry, actually on my side, the internet is not okay. I don't know if everyone is getting me clear, and I don't know if the internet is going to tolerate, so at least I can deliver my message. Yeah, actually, I have this big date in my life. That was the 1st of June, 2021. That is the day one of a member of the parliament asked the Mr. Speaker that he has an information, and his information was concerning about the ladies that they are not wearing proper in the house, and actually they are going against according to our tradition and whatever and so on. And from his discussion, the Mr. Speaker asked him, "Can you mention one of the women that you saw that she's not wearing the proper?" Then, and unfortunately, he mentioned me, and actually, I was surprised because when we enter in the parliament, we have to pass two gates. The first gate, you have to be checked, actually the way you wear and whatever and everything. The second one, and still even in the chamber, there are some people who they can check you. And the same that day, I was having a question. I asked the question, and the question was additional question. Was not the question in which it was planned. The additional question as a question that when you just stand up and the speaker has to see you, and so that he can just pick randomly. So having that additional question, and the speaker just picked me randomly, I asked the question.
Yes, sorry. So we're trying to reach her via WhatsApp, and perhaps we can hear the rest of the story from Madame Sichalwe. But Elsie is here, and Elsie, you surely heard of this incident, and as a feminist, as a writer, as an observer, how did that incident make you feel? Could you relate on maybe what would you have done had it been you?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. This is a really important subject, I think, for all of us. And I'm glad to speak on it. Your question is difficult. I honestly don't know how I might have handled such a situation because it's extremely humiliating. Parliament is a public space, and there you are being targeted as an individual for what you're wearing, which is very personal, and being put there in the spotlight as an example of what not to do. And I find it really interesting that it was a male colleague of her who snitched. I'm intrigued by how much time he spends looking at his female colleagues as opposed to reading bills. I'd want to know who he is and see what his performance is like in Parliament, because I feel like perhaps his attention is not on the correct item, like on the correct, we're not paying him to police female MPs' outfits. This is not a correct use of taxes. It's a bullying. It's a form of bullying that's so intense. It shows me, it proves how strong patriarchy is that you would dare to do such a thing in our houses of parliament. And she used a word which I found very interesting as well. She said, our traditions. Tanzania has 2 major religions, several smaller ones, and it spans, we say, 120 tribes, or if you like, ethnicities. Whose traditions exactly are we talking about? There are some folks who, if they chose to come to parliament wearing their ethnic clothing, would not meet the standards of westernization that we seem to have adopted as our so-called tradition and formal spheres. So I found that very limited and a little offensive because we haven't had that discussion about whose traditions we're observing. It has been raised in the form of Tanzania's looking for a national outfit. I've written about it. I think that's crazy. And I don't approve of it at all. And I actually quite hope that they will abandon this project at some point, because you can't put 60 million people into untraditional dress. And then how are you even going to pick it? There's such a range of diversity that no matter what you pick, you're going to be underserving someone or restricting someone. So that whole rhetoric of using the idea of tradition is very questionable. The fact that we are supposed to be okay with women being humiliated in public like that is despicable. For this to be done to a woman in our House of Parliament is an attack on all of us. So yeah, I'm very concerned. And of course, you know, the Honorable MP is a professional. I don't know that I would have handled it well at all. It might have become an incident bigger than it needed to be. But, you know, there you have it. I was shocked. And it's shocking that this is happening in 2021. This is something I'm thinking, you know, are we still in the Victorian era here? It's just, there's a lot that's questionable about it. But I do want to emphasize that it was a public act of violence against women, and a targeted one, and in an environment where we had no choice but to witness it. And I find that extremely problematic.
Yeah, thank you very much for your very elaborate opinion. Yes, you already said you cannot really relate or think of yourself in that situation. It's really hard to imagine. But do you have any similar stories to tell, like the ones we heard? Have you ever encountered such a situation where, well, not in the parliament, but in your surroundings in Dar es Salaam or wherever in Tanzania, where you were stopped from doing what you were doing because of your dressing?
Yes, I have definitely encountered those moments. The only one where I was nearly stopped, but I managed to solve the situation was when I was going to get my national identity card. And I'd been there maybe a day or two before, and I was wearing some tight jeans and a t-shirt, and everything was fine. The day I showed up, I was wearing a skirt that went over my knees, but just over my knees. And the same guy who was at security saw me and told me that my skirt was too short. And I laughed because I thought he was joking. He wasn't. So I had to exit the office, and I went to one of the, they had a few stalls set up outside where people were selling SIM cards. And I just said to them, does anybody here have a khanga that I could borrow? Because most of us women tend to have them in our handbags. You never know what's going to happen. And someone was very kind and said, here, take mine, and you'll just give it back to me when you come out. So I was able to put it on. And of course, as soon as I put it on and I go in, I saw so many people in the line in front of me who were wearing shorter, tighter skirts, who were wearing skinny jeans, who were wearing leggings. And I was just like, okay, so today was my turn to be whatever point of humiliation, because he must have been having a tough day. So that was annoying, but it wasn't, yeah, it wasn't bad. I wanted to maybe share a story where the person humiliating me wasn't a man, it was a woman.
Yeah,
it was a woman, and I was exercising. I had on, I think I was wearing leggings actually, and a large t-shirt, just to try to cover as much of my bottom and my hips as possible. But they were definitely exercise leggings, so they're tight. And then I was wearing my sneakers, and I'm walking along, and I passed by a very crowded bus station. And there was a large woman, I'm being polite. This woman was, she was taking up 2 seats, basically. There was a large woman there dressed in a dira. She was like covered her hair and everything. So I just glimpsed her at the side of my eye, and I was just walking by trying to ignore everyone, because it can be difficult to be wearing exercise wear outside, and I have social anxiety. But for me, it was a type of like, try to get over it. And I hear her saying, as I'm walking by, she's like, girls these days don't seem to understand what they should be wearing in public. You can't just come out naked out of your, and so she's using a third person as though I'm somehow like not supposed to understand that she was talking about me. So I felt immediate humiliation. And then I was so far away from home, I wasn't going to turn around. And I looked at her and I was like, I'm not going to confront this woman. She's older than me, and it's a crowded bus stop, and I'm not good at comebacks. So I kept walking. And of course, it was like, I think several months later that I came back with like a perfect comeback, and I wanted to write a story about it and whatnot. But, what are you gonna do? Maybe I will still include it in a story one day, but I felt that, you know, and I thought, why would you do that? And considering how she was dressed and everything, I think she was policing it from a very moral point of view and from maybe a religious point of view. And I was like, well, you see, the gamble is that you don't know who you're talking to. I do not belong to her religion. I'm not gonna cover my hair, I wear dreadlocks. And I was just like, oh, that's just a step too far. And for this to happen at a major bus station in Dar es Salaam, I was like, girl, you need to take your bush back home because that's not how we roll here. So it can come from both genders. And I've definitely been shamed by women more subtly. When you leave your house or, you know, you'd be like, oh, is that what you're wearing? And it's like, okay, what's wrong with it? Well, it's a little, what they really mean is go change. And it varies, but yeah, it's there. It's part of life. I just realized now that it happens so often that I've become almost immune. I don't recognize it as much, but we all handle it differently. And yeah, if there's no threat of violence, I tend to be okay with ignoring it.
Yeah, actually, you answered my other question that was, came out of interest, wanting to know whether you wrote anything about it. Yeah, but maybe something will come after this talk. Conservative opinions say that dress codes are important, especially in public institutions. You mentioned a public institution that you entered, to maintain respect and decency. What's your point of view on that? On this, dress codes that are put, especially in public places, public institutions? Why there?
I'm guessing the question is for me.
Yes, the question is for you. I'm sorry, we are still trying to get our MP, but
yeah, I hope
meanwhile you have to bear with me.
No problem. I tried to prepare for this question by examining myself and thinking, how do I react? Like, how would I react if I was giving a public service and I had to deal with the Tanzanian public, and what would be my own standards of expectation from people? And I realized that I'd have pretty low ones for one practical reason. We come from all different walks of life, and frankly, not everybody can afford the kind of clothing that you want them to wear. I've definitely seen young men wearing baggy, saggy jeans, being told that, you know, even if they have a belt, they'll be told, like, you know, this is a fashion issue, like, don't wear that. But if you look at the man, he's skinny. He's clearly, like, you know, putting on what he's got. And why would you discriminate? So I do have some standards I think need to be observed. For example, don't come with a bare chest if you're a man. We don't want to see your midriff or belly. Like, there's certain things that I think nobody's comfortable seeing in an office, unless you've got very good reason to take, you know, your top off. Maybe don't. What else? Oh, and booty shorts. Like, don't wear a bikini, please, and don't wear booty shorts. And that goes for men as well. Like, there's things on men you also don't want to see. But other than that, frankly, I couldn't think of anything more that I would want to impose. And I'm just saying that because, again, my NIDA experience, at one point I was going down a staircase and I saw a Maasai woman sitting on the floor, staring at her form in utter confusion, just lost. And we locked eyes, and I looked at her and I was like, I'm not going to stop, because I know if I try to help her, it's going to take a whole day. And I know she doesn't have any supporting documentation. This is a lost cause. But we looked at each other and she looked at me, and I looked at how she was dressed, and I thought to myself, I don't know how NIDA is going to handle these cases, but this is Tanzania. They're going to have to figure it out. So like I said, I mean, I keep going back to the fact that we're just such a range of humanity. And then I go back and think, like, what respect exactly? What traditions? What would decency? Okay, yeah, okay, I get it. Decency, the thing is, you have to say that because sometimes people between the ages of 18 and 25 might be, you know, exploring their fun side a little bit and get a little frisky or whatever, but that comes with the territory. And like I said, honestly, if they're not shirtless and if they're not wearing micro shorts, let it go. It's really not going to ruin your day at all. It's just, let it go. You're providing a public service. You're not there to police how people live their lives. So I think, just focus on your job, maybe. If you have trouble, take a few breaks or something, get a breathing app, do some meditation, handle yourself.
Well, okay, good advice. But I'm glad to hear your point of view. Dress codes are not bad, but it depends on what they stand for. Like if it's too much revealing, so we all are, oh, Madame, you're here. Hi. Have you been able to follow up on some of the questions that Elsie answered?
Yeah, the internet was not suitable for me.
Yeah. So we just to give you a briefing, we were still on this topic on dressing, and Elsie shared her story. And I also asked her about what she thinks about dress codes in public institutions. And of course, for her, it's important as long as it's not being taken way too far. So she mentioned example, like going there where your stomach is out there in the open, that is a no-go. And like things that you wear that are really revealing. You cannot attack each and everything on the basis of culture, something that is so broad, especially when we speak of a country like Tanzania. But maybe back to you, now that you're here, Madame Sichalwe. You were sharing with us your story and you wanted to tell us how it ended when you left the parliament session.
Yes, actually, I left the parliament session and then I just went to the market and I found one of the long skirt. I just put it up because I was putting the trouser, was a suit of trouser, shirt and the black one. So I found another skirt and just I put it just within like 10 minutes. I came back to the house and proceed with the session. Everybody was like, how did she manage? You are not feeling bad. If it could me, I could maybe faint, I could die. But for me, it was just okay because I knew that I was very smart. I put it in my suit, was very proper, was very decent, and actually I passed it from all of those two gates. The security and the police officers, they have checked me. Yeah, so I proceeded with the session and then I let the life continue. But members of the parliament, some of course are men, and even the women, they were not happy with the situation. As them, they tried to stand up and to speak for me. Yeah, like that. And actually I sang this. So that day, the day when I was interning in the parliament, they just took me the picture under me. So that is the same picture they used it to share on the social medias to show people that you see how the lady she was wearing. So actually everybody in Tanzania, not even in Tanzania, the whole Africa, everybody was saying you were wearing decently. So what was the problem? Yeah, something like that. If I heard when you were trying to start the conversation, you tried to say how in a different society, not only in Africa or not only in Tanzania, how sometimes as a society, especially men, they try to make the women to look like they are very bad when it comes to the way they appear, when it comes how they wear. So they try to manipulate things to make the society to see like you are not someone who you don't have you are not a decent one. You are not a person that you have to be respected. Sometimes it's just a manipulation, and sometimes maybe it's inferiority of some people. So they know that when they manipulate you when it comes to the outfit, and especially because we are African women, we know that when someone tell you that you are not wearing properly, you are wearing something which is unrespected, yeah. So the societies, they will take you like you are not a person people they can respect you, or you are not a person people they can give you a big position according to the way you wear. Most of the time they think sometimes
it's inferiority, sometimes it's manipulation. Maybe there's some men are scaling women, and they think maybe they can poker their position, whatever. So they think bullying them when it comes to the outfit. This is the only thing it can make those women come back. They cannot stand it for themselves because they will be scaling to stand, they will be feeling shy, something like that. But for me, it was quite different. I've never felt bad. I've never felt like I was insulted. And because I'm a believer and spiritually, to me, I took was a very credit to to introduce me to the Tanzanian society and all over the Africa. Imagine today, we were feeling good to interview me just because of the that situation. So for me, it's a credit because I didn't wear bad. I didn't put anything long. My dress was very perfect. It was very genuine. You can find anything, which is I know that it can take you out from what you are focusing. I'm not that, but I had this. Actually, we were contesting for the African Parliament, and I was among of the contestants. Some people they told me that they used that just to provoke me so that I cannot stand again. I'll be feeling shy, like so I cannot proceed anymore. And actually, I don't know what to say, but for me, everything was. And even that man, the one who give the speaker information,
Yeah.
I just feel like he's a person. He has to keep more learning and learning. Nothing cannot take me back because I know who I want and what do I want.
Wow, thank you very much. I mean, what you're sharing there, I think, Elsie, what do you think? That's very brave of her, how she handled the situation. I think some of us, we wouldn't be able to just come back or...
No, yes, I would like to express my admiration for her actions and her coolness under pressure. And it's really amazing and inspiring that she's chosen to see this as an opportunity, as something that's, given her, more exposure, more views out there. And it's a testament to her character. So thank you very much. And this is why we need more women MPs.
Yes, but Madam Sichalwe, I still wonder what do you think maybe other female MPs could do? Yeah, so I would really like to know what Madam Sichalwe, what message she has out there for all these women who shared the story, this constant having to defend yourself or not being sure whether you can enter a place or not because of what you're wearing. Yeah, what would be the message to us? So maybe when she comes back, she could respond to this question. Dressing includes an aspect of classism. I think maybe you explained it a bit. Do you think that age plays a role in this as well? Apart from this gender perspective, do you think that the age or the generation, that it plays a role in either dictating what people should not wear or what people wear or how people get into conflicts?
Absolutely, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
I look a lot younger than I really am, and I take advantage of that to see how people really are, like how they behave. Because if someone sees you as inferior or younger than they are, you get to see a side of them that they don't necessarily show someone who's older when they act all respectful and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes with age that there's very few women past the age of maybe like 40 or 50 who are going to dress in like short skirts and whatnot. So naturally, we tend to get, I don't even want to say more conservative, honestly. I see it happening to me, and the truth is I'm just getting more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, loose clothing, and it's hot and dark, and I'm just comfortable in different clothing. So there's less of that happening. But if you are of a certain age, you know, you've got gray in your hair, or you look authoritative, or you look like you might be an MP, or like, you know, someone important's wife. I've witnessed situations where certainly someone will walk by and everyone will be like, ooh, she must be really important. It's like, oh, madam, okay, you know, and they won't touch her. And you're like, yeah, but her skirt is like halfway up her thighs. And you're like, oh, no, look at those sunglasses, you know, don't bring anything up. So there's that game that gets played. That if you dress for success, as the term goes, if you dress for success, you can get away with stuff. So that's the class element. And at a certain age, honestly, like, people won't try to mess with you. It's not worth it. I'm I'm laughing a little bit because I have pictures of when my mother was young and what she used to wear. And she's been wearing trousers as a woman since the 1960s or something. She's worn trousers my whole life. So I never grew up in a situation where it was weird or whatever. It's only later when I realized that my mother's friends weren't doing that and whatnot. So there's an element of personal choice. I think for a certain generation, it still is surprising for a woman to wear trousers. But yeah, you know, I've never heard anyone try to confront my mom. If anything, it's the opposite. They'll say, oh my goodness, you know, wow, how stylish. You wear trousers. And I'm like, hey, I do too. What's up with that? But there you go. Age confers advantages.
Okay, yeah. So it doesn't matter what age someone is. Yeah. Madam, I had a question. I don't know if you heard it before you left.
Yes.
Yes. Like, how should people handle these situations? You handle it well, but you know, not everyone has that cool. Can be of your character that says, okay, let me just go and do this because I have my visions here. I have something to, I mean, if you have to deal with it, you're being stopped. You can't enter the immigration place because of what you're wearing. You can't get access to some of your rights because of your dressing. What do you advise people in such a situation, or where can people run to?
Okay, you're talking the situation if someone, she or he cannot get a service to the office in case they tell her that maybe you are not dressing properly, right?
Yes, and if it's happening like many times, and sometimes you don't even know what kind of dressing they're talking about.
Actually, on some different offices, they have their own specification of how they need some people to appear, how to look like. For example, even here in Tanzania, to all offices which the government offices, they have the specification. For example, they don't allow men to go with a short trouser. You should be wear the full trouser. Maybe they don't allow the women to wear a jeans trouser. Maybe if it's a trouser, it should be a suit. So if you know, if they have all of those restrictions, that is not maybe for only you, it's for everybody. You see?
Yes.
No wonder even in my situation was making people to be very curious. Like,
yeah,
if that lady she was not appearing properly, how she managed to pass on all those two gates
exactly.
with all of those securities. You see? If they give you the information from the gate, the first gate, that no, we don't allow this person. See our restriction that men they have to appear like this, women they have to appear like this. Like the way we want people to get service in this office, like the way you are appearing. To me, I think that is okay because you have to follow instruction to any institution. The problem is when a man can appear more bad, but a lady appear like at least very good, but still they can bully a lady rather than a gentleman or a man. That is something which is giving people start thinking bad. Why are they doing this to the women? Because even in the parliament, we have some men who they are not wearing properly at well.
Are they also
not,
stopped?
they are not wearing smart, but we have never seen anyone who's touching them. You see? And why only and it's not a big deal, which is someone can stand in the house and to make it as a big deal. But only why when it comes to the women, you take it is a big deal. Even on social medias, there are some men, they wear very bad, they put short and they do even some bad behaviors. Why they are not bullying them? For example, maybe if a man is stepping with if a man is married and he's stepping with another girl in the society, this thing is not looking something bad. But when a woman is married and is stepping with another boy, you look like that is something is very bad, like you are unrespected. Why you are sleeping with maybe two men while you are a leader? What about the man if he is sleeping with two women and he is married as well? Is not that a bad behavior?
Yeah, I think we can all agree that most of the attacks go to the women. But there's a question, and the time is running. Let me just try to maybe there's a question here to Elsie. What can be done to change the society's perception on dress codes?
Okay, I hate to say this, but the truth is that there isn't a simple answer because we're not talking about dress codes. We sound like we are. What we're really talking about is women's rights. And unless we address women's rights, then what women can and cannot wear cannot be touched. So that's a manifestation of a much bigger problem. So what you're talking about is deeply changing society and how human we women are treated in our own societies. And that's a really difficult problem, which feminism has been working on for a couple of 100 years, formally anyways. It's been around forever, but formally it's about maybe a couple of 100 years old. And now women can vote, women can participate in politics. And we've still got other barriers and frontiers to fight. It depends on which society you're in, of course. So yeah, I wish I had a quick answer to you. I don't. I'd like for you to champion the cause of women because they're humans first. And until we do that, then what we wear is just part of the bigger issue.
Yeah, thank you. Madam Sichalwe, do you have any answer to this? What can be done to change the perceptions of the society?
For me, I can only advise that it's only education. We have to keep educating our society that someone having bad behavior, you cannot only judge him or her according the way how she's appearing. You cannot judge someone only to the outfit. There are some people who they are wearing very nice, but they have a very bad behavior. They are sinners. They are doing something awkward in the society. So we only have to keep educating our society. And not only we have to judge the women that when you don't wear properly, that's the only thing they can judge you that you have bad behavior. No. There are some women who they wear like the way you can look like they wear like, but they are very genuine people and they have very good behavior. And there are some people who they are putting even boo-boos, long dresses covering their faces, their heads. But when you stay close with them, you cannot even like anything from them. So it's only the education, genuine person or the good heart or faithful heart of someone. It only comes from the heart. It's not comes from the outfit.
Thank you very much for all your answers. We can all see it's not easy to just give out a simple solution, but education is something that one can start with. Viewing women as humans, that's another thing, and their rights and their choices. like our title said. I'm trying to cover a couple more questions here quickly. Have you experienced a situation in which a group of women are supporting each other outside on the streets against such comments or bullyings or, yeah? You can start, madam.
Okay, I was waiting. Actually, what I'm even trying to observe in our society, the way we are raised as African, because I've never spent too much time in Europe countries. But even that time that I spent a little bit here in Africa, the way we raised as African, we raised like as women, we have to submit it to the men. So sometimes even the situation when it happened in the society, as women, we are the one we support like, why like a woman can you do like that? You see, we think that there is some behavior as the men they have to do. But sometimes there is a number of women who they are supporting that situation. So, and they make another woman feel like, because I did this one, I'm not like I'm not a good woman like the way African woman is supposed to be. So sometimes as women, we are the one we start bullying each other. Like when you see a woman who is wearing not properly, start like it start with us. It was supposed to say, okay, she's wearing like that, it's okay. Even when the man, see the way it's okay. Let her mind her own business as long as she's not anointing anyone, as long as she's not going against which is a traditional, whatever. So we give the good number to the men to keep bullying us.
Yeah. Thank you for this elaboration. I think the question has been answered. Well, sometimes, yes, you can have women that support, but most of the time it is unfortunately not the case. And it can also be the women that are actually condemning you. But like Elsie had pointed out earlier, people come from so many different backgrounds. You cannot speak of Tanzania as if you're speaking of one culture. There's a mix of culture. There's so much going on in the country where people have been, the experiences they have. So you might meet those who will support, but also those who will not support you. And just to maybe also answer that question on the experience on a group of people, women supporting you, like the case that I mentioned earlier when we started in Kenya, the outrage of that woman being stripped off did also come from men as well. Like there were male people who watched the video and they really felt the violation too. They said it could have been my wife, it could have been my daughter, it could have been my own mother. And they also went to the streets. Some men also wore skirts to show solidarity with the women. And that is really something special. And they walked on the streets and they said, no, you cannot treat women like that. So yeah, that is so much about this situation. I see more questions coming in, but yeah, we really do not have time right now. Will tradition always stop any other argument like freedom? Why is tradition such a powerful argument that it can stop other discussions? Is it? Elsie, would you like to tackle this last question, please?
Yes, for the simple reason that traditional is an irrational thing. Tradition, first of all, is like a wonderfully broad term. You have to be careful who's using it because they get to define what the tradition is. And I tend to research. If someone tells me I'm going against my traditions, I'll note who said that, their gender, their age, the likelihood that they're actually talking the truth. And then I'll check it with like 3 or 4 different people. And I tend to find that I get a lot of interpretations. So I like to think of tradition as a form of like raw scripture. everybody's gonna come along and be like, this is our tradition and you can't. And I'm like, are you sure though? Like, where does the tradition come from, et cetera, et cetera. But it's got a hold on us because it's a matter of identity. So if you go against a tradition, it's almost like a taboo. You're breaking a taboo. You're rejecting your own Africanness or your own, an aspect of your identity. And that's just really, yeah, it's really taboo in our societies to do that, because then what are you doing? Are you accepting westernization, which is usually what people call not following tradition? A lot of times it actually isn't at all. For example, I wear dreadlocks and people try to tell me that it's not our tradition and stuff. And I tell them, but whose tradition is it? I dare them to find any other peoples who can naturally grow dreadlocks. I mean, this is an African thing. It really is. And then they get tongue-tied and they're like, oh, you know, it's Rastafarians who brought it. And I'm like, where do you think the Rastafarians actually got it in the first place? And then they don't know what to say. So tradition works because of that taboo. As soon as you invoke tradition, then you're forcing that person to say, I'm fighting against my own identity. And nobody wants to be put in that position. So it has a hold on us and it's irrational. And if you try to rationalize that, you know, you can wear trousers, it's fine, it doesn't work. And that's why it has the power it has. Because like religion, questioning tradition, dangerous stuff.
Wow, thank you very much. I think we can end here. We passed our time by 14 minutes, but I'm very happy, very glad to have had the two of you, Elsie, Madam Sichalwe. Thank you very much for your opinions on the questions that we asked, for sharing your experience, and for being here this evening. Yeah, applause, please. The online applause.